Hi guys, so here is the Poco X2. So I've been using this for about 10-12 days now and I thought I'll share my experience with it. It's kind of been my daily second device from the last few days, and there are a couple of things I've loved about it and a couple I'm not so happy about. So let's talk about all of them and I'll let you know whether you should buy this or skip this. But before we begin, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss any updates. This is your friend Singh. Let's get started. Alright, let's start with the biggest feature on the Poco X2, the 120Hz display. So what is a 120Hz display? In simple terms, it's when a phone display refreshes or changes frames 120 times per second. A 120Hz display refreshes twice as quickly as a 60Hz display, which is the most common refresh rate in smartphones. It's so easy on the eyes, the fluidity, the smoothness, it's addictive, and going back to the regular 60Hz is going to be a nightmare. Trust me, I'm using the iPhone XS, which has a 60Hz display, undoubtedly smooth, but the animation feels very laggy comparatively. Also, here is a quick comparison with the Redmi K20 Pro, which actually has a flagship specs, but the refresh rate is just 60Hz. Both devices are running the MIUI UI Android 10, and you can see the difference in the app drawer itself. Though my camera is recording at 30 FPS, I'm not sure if you can see the difference, but it's huge. Not only while scrolling or navigating is it more responsive, but also opening and closing multiple apps is lightning fast. The Poco X2 is not the first phone with the 120Hz display. There is the newly launched Samsung S20 and S20 Plus, the Asus ROG 2, the OnePlus 7 Pro and 7T have 90Hz display, but all these are expensive devices priced 35,000 and above. The Poco X2 is the only phone with 120Hz display for 16,000. Damn, that's really impressive. Now obviously with this refresh rate, battery life is affected. But ever since I'm using the device, I've kept it at 120Hz and the battery was really not that bad. Easily got 1.5 day. If you are a heavy user and you want better battery life, you can choose to change it to 60Hz in the settings. There are many games on the Play Store that support this frame rate as well. I played a few and it felt very fluid. Frankly, I'm not a hardcore gamer, but my dear friend and YouTuber Dhananjay Bhosle has made a detailed video about PUBG performance on the Poco X2. You can click the card up here to see that video. I'll also leave the link in the description. The Poco X2 also retains the 3.5 headphone jack. I can't believe we're looking at it like a feature. It's something every phone had, but since many biggies have dropped it, it's kind of a big thing now. I'm so glad it's there. Very handy. The Poco X2 has a 4500 mAh battery, which is quite big, and inside the box we get a 27-watt charger which supports quick charge as well. Also, when I would put it to charge at 10-15%, it would be fully charged in around 40 to 45 minutes. Unbelievable. Now I know there are other phones like the Realme X2 that also has a 30-watt charger but has a smaller 4000 mAh battery. When it comes to the battery, bigger is always better. The Poco X2 does a brilliant job in the battery department. Moving to the display. So it has a 6.67-inch IPS display with a resolution of 2400 by 1080 pixels. It's a huge phone and you're going to need two hands to use it. The color reproduction is quite good. Not as vivid as we see on the AMOLED display, but if we compare it to the Redmi K20 Pro, we can clearly see the difference. But on the flip side, IPS displays have more natural colors. Dark mode will just be easy on the eyes, but doesn't help save battery, which an AMOLED display would have. Also, there is a dual camera cutout on the top right of the display. Frankly, I would prefer the notch, or even a cutout in the center would be better. This one does come in the way and it's very obvious. I thought I would get used to it even after 15 days. Every time I watched a video, it just got in the way. It's very subjective though. I feel many would prefer the dot cutout to a notch. It also makes the phone feel a lot more 2020. Notch phones are just so 2018-19. So I'll take this with a pinch of salt and probably get used to this soon. However, there are many wallpapers that embrace the cutout. Here's creativity at its best. Looks absolutely amazing. The aspect ratio of the display is 20:9, making the phone really tall. So when you watch a YouTube video or any video for that matter, there are thick black bars on the sides. Now you can zoom to fill the screen, but a lot of content gets lost. Now this is a small drawback of this aspect ratio, but the same aspect ratio is a boon when it comes to web surfing, WhatsApp, Instagram, gaming. You get to see a lot more content. Since this is an IPS panel, no fingerprint scanner under the display, but there is a better alternative, fingerprint scanner on the power button. I can't tell you how much I love this. My favorite feature for the Poco X2. Now I know this is not the first phone to do it as well, but the first at this price point. Alright, coming back, it's blazing fast and responsive. It just feels more natural and easy to use in a day-to-day life. So by default, you have to press the power button to wake the display and then it unlocks the phone. But in the settings, you can change it to touch. So as you touch the phone, even when it's in sleep mode, it unlocks almost instantaneously. I prefer this to the under display any day. The phone also supports face unlock, but it's not as secure and safe. It works, but it's not recommended. That's my opinion. Choice is yours. A lot has been spoken about the cameras and rightly so. Quad cameras, 64 megapixel Sony lens being its primary sensor, but by default it takes pictures only at 16 megapixel, which primarily is done to save space. Not all pictures need to be 64 megapixel. Frankly, in a blind test you probably wouldn't even know the difference. It's only when you zoom you see the detail. Overall the camera does a decent job. It's not great, but it's not bad either. Day shots have good dynamic range and look quite good. There is also the night mode, which I believe is overrated. You need to hold the phone stable to get that perfect shot, which usually is very hard to get. But in case you have sturdy hands, you might get lucky. It's completely a hit or miss. There's also an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera which does a good job. It covers 128-degree angle. Depth sensor helps get those perfect portrait shots and it does well during daylight. The 2 megapixel macro lens is crazy fun. There is so much to explore here. Go crazy. The phone can record 4K videos at 30 FPS and stabilization is quite decent. On the front are dual cameras, 20 megapixel and 2 megapixel depth sensor, so you get this perfect bokeh effect. Well, it does good in day as well as at night, decent pictures, it gets the job done. There is also a new vlog mode where it takes short videos and makes them into stylized vlogs. Gimmick or useful, that only time will tell. Right now, it seems to be a lot of fun. When it comes to the camera, you're easily getting your money's worth. Coming to the performance, the Poco X2 is running the Snapdragon 730 CPU, which does a decent job when it comes to performance. It's no king, but it's no slouch either. Snapdragon 730 is quite a popular CPU, above average on performance and very power efficient. Overall, you aren't going to struggle with day-to-day tasks and gaming. I so wish they had the Snapdragon 855 variant of the Poco phone, but I am assuming they wanted to keep the price lower or they're saving that for the Poco F2. We'll have to wait and watch. So finally, if I had to nitpick, I really miss the AMOLED panel on the super smooth 120Hz display. I prefer the small dot notch to the dot camera cutout, but that's just me. I'm sure many would prefer the opposite. The pros, however, easily outweigh the cons. Huge 120Hz display, 27-watt fast charging, quad camera setup, super fast side fingerprint scanner, a good performing 720 CPU, all that for just 15,999. It's simply a steal. Yes, you can get the Realme X2 around the same price with the same processor and an AMOLED display, but I'd still pick this just for the fast fingerprint scanner and the 120Hz display. Easily the best phone to buy under 16,000. There are 3 variants of the Poco X2, 6GB RAM with 64GB storage, 6GB RAM with 128GB storage and 8GB RAM with 256GB storage. Even the 8GB 256GB variant is selling for under 20k. The Poco X2 is very well priced. I'll leave the links in the description. If you like to buy one, do check it out. I hope this video was helpful. Write down in the comments and let me know if there are any questions regarding the Poco X2. I'll be happy to help. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Until next time, cheers.